الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. My name is Faraz Khan. I live in the Fishers area. Thank you for the invitation. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثات بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. بسم الله. يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا نودي للصلاة من يوم الجمعة فاسعوا إلى ذكر الله وذروا البيع ذلكم خير لكم إن كنتم تعلمون فإذا قضيتم الصلاة فانتشروا في الأرض وابتغوا من فضل الله واذكروا الله كثيرا لعلكم تفلحون. All you who believed, when the call is proclaimed to prayer on Friday, hasten earnestly to the remembrance of Allah and leave off business. That is best for you if ye but knew. And when the prayer is finished, then may ye disperse through the land and seek the bounty of Allah and celebrate the praises of Allah often, that ye may prosper. My brothers and sisters, this is Surah Jummah, the ayah 9 and the 10. MashaAllah, you made it here. You left everything. You choose to come and spend some of the precious times. But in many situations, we do come for Jummah because we feel like that's an order given to us, not knowing what brings us here. Sometimes, knowing the importance of something is extremely important. So today, as a part of my first khutbah here, I would like to tell you a little bit. What is Jummah? Why do we come here? What makes you leave everything, our job, our work, and what if we choose not to do it? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when you read Quran is an amazingly beautiful book. Everything is studied well, it ought to be. So sometimes there are suggestions, sometimes there are orders, sometimes there's a very strict order where you cannot go against it. And Jummah is not a matter of choice. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu. Very strong words. So the people of Iman, O you who believe. So the people who don't believe, they have been left outside. That means consider to those people who have Iman. And what is asked? When the call is proclaimed to prayer on Friday, hasten earnestly to the remembrance of Allah and leave off business. So the rule is whatever you do, whatever money you make, whatever things you are important to do, forget it. And come to Salat, the Jummah, which mashallah you're already here. Let me start with something very basic standard. Jummah is a congregational prayer which Muslims hold every Friday, just after noon in the place of Dhuhr. Muslim ordinary, of course, we say 5 times prayer, and that is not according to the clock time. That is according to the path of the sun. So the time changes. The Fajr time is different. In July, it's going to be different than December. And so Jummah is, in most situations, this one. Jummah prayer is half the Dhuhr for convenience, and that's preceded by a khutbah, which is given by the Imam, and believed to replace the 2 rakat. That's followed by congregational prayer, and in most cases, the khatib is the same, who is the Imam. That's very simple, I'm sure you know about it. And there could be one adhan, there could be two adhan. Sometimes you give adhan, sit down, wait for 50-20 minutes, then the second adhan is given, and then the muezzin will start. So that's one way. In many situations, there's one adhan, and right after that there's a khutbah, and then there's a aqama, and then we start. So my brothers and sisters, why Friday is such an important day? Is it any different? Let's say all of us say, in this country, we have time off on Sunday and Saturday. So let's do a Sunday prayer. Let's do a Saturday prayer, because the question is to get together. But this is not true, and let me tell you why. It's quoted in Abu Dawud, Tirmidhi, and An-Nasai, narrated that Abu Hurairah said, Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, the best day on which the sun rises is Friday. On it, Adam was created. On it, he was sent down to earth. On it, his repentance was accepted. On it, he died, and on it, the hour will begin. There is no living being, but it is in a state of apprehension on Friday from dawn till the sunrise, fearing the onset of the hour, except jinn and mankind. On it, there is an hour when no Muslim happens to pray and ask Allah for what he needs, but he'll give it to him. And Sayyidina Ka'ab asked, he said, is that one day in every year? And it was mentioned, no, it's every week. So when we get up on Friday, usually we are very relaxed, right? Maybe we get up early, we go for Salatul Fajr, and we said, it's just a one regular day. But everyone, except the mankind and the jinn, they are worried that it's a Friday, the hour may start, which is the day of the judgment. So one thing is, we don't have a choice to make that day to a different day. Friday is Friday, it stays as it is. We Muslims traditionally comes to Jummah, and what is expected to us? Rasulullah said, whoever makes ghusl on the day of Jummah and then goes to the mosque and prays what has been prescribed for him and remains quiet while the Imam delivers the khutbah and then prays with the Imam, he will have forgiven for him what is between that Jummah and the next and 3 additional days. That is quoted in Muslim. My brothers and sisters, it's an extremely important hadith. If you try to understand, my brothers, if you can take care of that adhan, I'll be thankful. It's a very important, let me tell you why. MashaAllah, you make it today to Jummah, right? SubhanAllah. There's another Jummah coming, you'll be interested, you would say, okay, that's the day, let me go have a second Jummah. My brothers and sisters, there are not many things in the Islam which say what I am going to repeat. He will have forgiven for him what is between that Jummah and the next, and the additional 3 days. SubhanAllah, did you realize? You come today, there's no guarantee you will be alive tonight. No guarantee. Let's say you do well, next Thursday night you get sick. You get admitted to the hospital. You don't make it. You die on Sunday. You die on Monday. You missed the last Jummah. But what, subhanAllah, it said that he'll be forgiven for him what is between that Jummah and the next. And the additional 3 days. SubhanAllah, 10 days. Sometimes we get a chance. We get a chance to repent. Sometimes we don't. It's a sudden death. You're driving, there's an accident. Nothing happens, you go in coma. You don't get out of coma and you die. You have a choice. Just because you choose to make a ghusl, you choose to come, you choose to sit, you have 10 days. There's a difference between bigger sins and the smaller sins. Bigger sins like drinking alcohol, getting interest, getting adultery, doing drugs. These are big sins. When you do a big sin, you usually know. You do it by choice. You're choosing to steal, you know you're stealing, you know it's bad, but you steal. In many situations, and I'm sure inshallah you don't do it, I don't do it, but if you do it, we say, no, oh Allah, forgive us. Allah, we will not do it again. But among the minor sins, you do not know. A tiny lie, a little bit being rude to someone, being little mean. Instead of eating from the right hand, eating from the left hand. Go to the bathroom, don't get yourself cleaned, you ran and you forgot. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you a beautiful choice. Make a choice, come to Jummah, do a nice job, and you're forgiven for what? Next 10 days. SubhanAllah. There are not very many things which give you this choice. So Jummah is different, and coming to Salatul Jummah is more different. Now, my brothers and sisters, before I go any further, you do some of the things in your life, and one is wudu. the minor ablution, the minor ghusl. What is the main difference between major purification, which is ghusl, and wudu? Please understand, making a nice wudu is very important. Why? Because on the day of the judgment, you would be caught in a positive way. You'll be counted among the Muslims by your wudu. And it is clearly mentioned, it's mentioned by, I went with Abu Hurairah onto the roof of the mosque. He did wudu and said, I heard Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, may Allah bless him and grant him peace, say, on the day of the rising, my community will be called those with white blazes on their foreheads and limbs with the effects of wudu. So whoever can increase the extent of his whiteness should do so. Subhanallah. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to make wudu for every salat. Just for every salat. Except in the very last days when he did very many, and that was the time he was asked a question. And please, I'm not using any of his exact words. I'm not using any exact words of Quran either. He was trying to make his ummah easy. So you have a choice to make a wudu in Fajr, and mashallah, you can move on as long as you can hold yourself. And then you do the bathroom and you use it again. But in a way, to increase the thing, what do? You continue to do wudu. My brothers and sisters, let me ask you a question. What is the truth of the life? Your truth of the life is life, correct? You're alive, you're sitting here, you're seeing, there's a nice day outside, you walked in, that's the truth of the life, you know and I know. What is the second truth which you will have? That is the death. You were born, you're going to die. There's no third choice. If you're not alive, you're dead. And since you're not dead, you're alive. As simple as that. Sometimes a question is asked, said, what is the truth in the life? What is the rule of life? The rule of the life is, فَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ خَيْرًا. Any good deed worth of an atom is recorded. You'll see it. And every bad deed worth of an atom will be seen too. So this is how it comes. Coming to Jummah is something which takes care of a lot of things which you cannot do. How do you live your life? How do I live my life? Let me tell you how I live my life. I live my life on day-to-day basis. That day will end. I'm trying to go home, have a meal with my family, then there'll be a late night. I'll collect it with my family, so go on. On a major level, you go from one car to another car. I do not have a car, I would like to get a car. Then I have a good car, let me get a better one. You live in an apartment, you say, when I have more money, I'll get a house. You go further, said, I have more money, let me get a bigger house. You send your children to school, my children will go to the university, so go on. Islam does not take the thing this way. Islam takes it a different way. Islam's way is a salat to a salat, zuhr to asr, asr to maghrib, maghrib to isha. You go home, you make a ablution, you walk towards the masjid. Every step, either a sin is wiped away or a good deed is added. Then comes Jummah. One Jummah to another, sins are wiped off. Then you get Ramadan. A year to year, whatever you have done, wiped away, subhanAllah. You have lived an awfully bad life. You never got anything done, you still get a chance, what? Do the Hajj. One time, start from the scratch. Whatever you have done, forgiven. You start from the scratch again. So that's what the life is. And Jummah is one of those. One time I went to a lecture, somebody who was a very well-known international personality. He gave a very good lecture on business. He said, when there would be all these big things kind of losing, when the time of the crash was there, when Ford left and he said, I did ask a question, I said, you guys never saw that this crash is coming? And they said, yeah, we thought, but we were thinking of a big bang. Somebody would tell us this is going wrong. He said, incorrect. The death comes by the 1,000 bleeders. It doesn't come with one big bang. Life is the same. Good deeds and bad deeds are the same. Whatever you do, you are pulled to the masjid for Jummah, you listen, you take a choice. This is like the blood which is sucked in by the heart, gets cleaned and sent back. You have 7 days to work on yourself. Doesn't work, come back next Friday. So you continue to do it till subhanAllah you get a chance to purify yourself. That's an easier way. Now, does everybody need to say Salatul Jummah? No. And let me tell you why. It's narrated in Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Friday prayer in congregation is an obligation on every single Muslim, except for 4: an owned slave, a woman, a child, and a sick person. So if you're sick, you're forgiven. Your child, forgiven. Your lady, you chose to stay at your home. However, it is not on the traveler. So if you're traveling, there are 2 schools of thoughts. One is if you're traveling, you're staying at some place, the Salatul Jummah, go and say it. And the second one is if you're traveling, you continue to travel, and so that would be, I'll leave it up to you. Is it compulsory to take a bath? It's related that by one of the Sahabis, I testify that Rasulullah said the taking of bath on Friday is compulsory for every Muslim who has attained the age of puberty, and also cleaning of teeth with salak and using perfume is available. So my brothers and sisters, let's make it simple. This is Jummah, this is Friday. You're invited by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is mentioned in Quran, right? So when someone invites you, what do you expect? When someone invites you, what happens? You go to their house, what do? They receive you. If they've invited you, don't find anybody, you get upset. You say, he invited me, I knocked at the door, nobody was there. So who invites you? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given an order. Okay, so, but before that, let me say something more important to you, which is important. My brothers and sisters, you're not allowed to talk during the Jummah. You're not allowed to talk, and let me read the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's related by Ibn Abbas that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, whoever speaks in Jummah while the Imam is delivering the khutbah is like a donkey who's carrying books, and for those who tell him to be quiet, there's no reward for the Jummah. Subhanallah. You're not allowed to talk. But if the person sitting next to you is talking, you're not allowed to even look at it by saying, be quiet. That choice has been taken away from you. So you come, you sit quietly, you listen to the khutbah, and you get done, and mashallah, you got the 10 days. If you choose to speak in between, this is gone. There are invitations from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Jummah is an invitation, as I just mentioned. So let me tell you one thing which you may like to hear. There was a very famous man, his name was Hajjaj bin Yusuf. You've heard his name, a very, very famous name. Hajjaj bin Yusuf at one time, he has good and the bad things, but one of the good things was he would never have his food alone. So what he would do, he would ask his slaves, his servants, to go and find somebody. So one way he was going to Makkah, and he asked his servant, he said, go and find somebody who can have a meal with me. So they figured out somebody, a poor man said, you come here. Hajjaj wants you. So he went there, and Hajjaj said, eat with me. He said, no. When Hajjaj asked a question, he said, I got an invitation from somebody who's better than you. He became very surprised. He said, who's better than me? He said, Allah has invited me to fast. Hajjaj said, okay, how about if you open your fast today and you do it tomorrow? He said, Hajjaj, do you give a guarantee that I'll remain alive till tomorrow? He said, I cannot guarantee you. He said, well, if you cannot guarantee me, I cannot accept it. Jummah is a choice given to you. There are no guarantees that you get one Jummah, you'll get a chance to go to second Jummah. Many who were present in the last Jummah, they didn't make it to this one. And trust me, many who made it to this Jummah will not make it to the next Jummah. My brothers and sisters, you have the choices, but unfortunate part is, you have the choices today. The moment you die, choices are gone. It's mentioned, Rasulullah said, people should abstain from leaving out Jummah Salah. If not, Allah will put a seal over their hearts, whereby they will fall into severe negligence. These are extremely strong words. And it's further mentioned, the person who misses out 3 Jummahs without any valid reason, Allah Ta'ala puts a seal over his heart. Quoted in Tamil. So that choice is taken away from you, that you say, I'm going to say Jummah, next day, I'm really tired. I don't feel like going to Jummah. You do not have a choice. And if you continue to do it, after 3 Jummahs, what happens? A seal will be placed on your heart. And you're gone. There's something more important about Jummah, which you might like to know. There are 4 things. If you do on the day, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will include you among the dwellers of Jannah. Number 1, visiting the sick. My brothers and sisters, extremely important. When you visit your sick brother during the morning, till the evening, 70,000 angels continue to pray for you. And if you do it at night, 70,000 angels continue to pray for you till next morning. So that's the first thing. Second is attending the funeral. My brothers and sisters, we take that casually, but this is an extremely important thing. If you go and you are part of one Salatul Janazah, and then you go and stay till the burial, you get a good deed which weight is equal to 2 carats. And how is 1 carat? The smallest carat is equal to Mount Uhud. Huge. Third thing is observing fast. And fourth is offering the Jummah Salah. And the final is, of course, setting free a slave. We don't have a choice for setting a slave at this time, but we certainly have the things that the first 4. And in one of the quotations it is said that only 4 may be enough. In addition to that, it is mentioned, he who recites Surah Al-Kahf on Yawm al-Jummah, Allah will shine a light for him between the 2 Fridays. You have seen, you come early, some people come early, they're sitting, they're reading Quran, what they're doing, and in many situations, they are reading Surah Al-Kahf. So going back to the first point which I didn't mention so far, at every entrance in the masjid, there are angels writing the names. So when you're invited by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it does not end there. There are people, there are angels who are there to receive you. They keep writing your name. But the moment Imam comes to pulpit, Imam starts the khutbah, they wrap up and they come in and start listening to the khutbah. So my brothers and sisters, coming before Imam starts the khutbah and coming after that are 2 different things. Please do not try to mix that as long as you make it by the prayer it is equal, it is not equal. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله ولكم فاستغفروه. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. Let's say you had a good day. You go to work, you go on daily wages, you get your work done. What do you expect by the end of the day? You would say, I would like to have my salary, correct? You do not want to go from some place which would say, you do the work, you did not get the salary. So let's say you're a person, you mashallah walked in, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you a choice, you make a good bath, you walk to the masjid, you came early, you read Quran, nicely done, and you know that subhanAllah, there will be a lot of things which will be for you, which will be, inshallah, you'll get on the day of the judgment. But being a human being, we think slightly different. We always make du'as for today. Oh Allah, give me a better car. Oh Allah, take care of my debt. Oh Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, help me with my children. Right? So you do it. Rasulullah has mentioned, as quoted by Sayyidina Abu Hurairah, on Friday, there's an hour when, if a Muslim happens to pray at that time and ask Allah for something good, He will give it to him. Subhanallah. This is a thing given to you every Friday. That you make a dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but that's a small moment. You make a dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives it to you. Now what is the time? There's a little bit of a difference of opinion. Some people believe it's after Imam comes to the pulpit till prayer is finished. So this time is going. Some people say it starts from Maqama till the Salah is over. So that's the second thing. But many believe it is in the last hour of the Jummah, after Salatul Asr. So brothers and sisters, how effective is dua? That's a question which comes to us all the time, Sometimes we believe we ask for dua, that doesn't get accepted. We said, is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala not listening? No, not possible. Allah is listening. But let me tell you a very, very interesting story. And I will tell you the name of that person in the end. That person was born on the 13th of Shawwal in 194 AH in the famous city of Bukhara, which is present-day Uzbekistan. His father, great muhaddis, died earlier. And during his infancy, father passed away. Mother took the responsibility in bringing him up. He became blind at a young age. So he was shown to multiple famous doctors at the time, and things didn't work out well. And essentially that man was without, he couldn't see, he was blind. His mother was a very righteous woman and pious worshipper. She cried out for the help for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. She continued to cry continued to beg for the restoration of the eyesight. At last, she got a dream, and in dream she saw Sayyidina Ibrahim, and he mentioned, Allah has restored the sight of your son because of your intense and beautiful invocations. So in the morning, that man got up from the bed, and he had light in his eyes. Was it a story? No, my brother, you know that person. His name was Imam Bukhari. The famous Imam Bukhari who wrote the book Bukhari, which is considered to be the strongest and the most truthful book after Quran. That's what dua does to you. And every Friday, you get a moment. Every Friday you get a moment when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala listens to your dua, listens to your prayer. And as I mentioned, most people believe that is the time of the Salatul Asr. So let's make it simple. Let's make it simple. How do you start your Jummah? You start your Jummah, be happy on Thursday night. MashaAllah, Jummah is coming. You got one more chance. My brothers and sisters, if you come in a car, or you come in a bike, or you walked, the moment you entered, and the moment you leave, then you may have come with a truckload of bad deeds. You may have left with nothing with you. Clean and pure as white, beautiful milk. And what is that? When you ask for Allah, oh Allah, forgive me. What's a better place than a masjid? You walked in, whatever you have done in life, no, there's nothing. There's only thing which Allah will not forgive. That is shirk. When you say there's more than one Allah. Everything else is forgivable. So you drink, you do adultery, you were bad to your parents, you were stealing, you were a mean man, you eating riba, you are a person who is in homosexual relationship, who use drugs, who do every bad thing. There's nothing which Allah cannot forgive if He wants to forgive. There's nothing which Allah cannot forgive if He wants to forgive. But please understand, it is you who has to take the decision. Raise your hand and say, oh Allah, forgive me. Oh Allah, forgive me. My brothers and sisters, so let's say this is the Jummah. You make a niyyah. You get ready. You take a nice shower. You get the best of your clothes, and you wear your clothes. You do salat. You clean your teeth. You apply the cologne what you have. And you go to the masjid as early as you can go. One time I got a chance to go to one of the famous cities. And just like an average man, I was getting ready, and I said, that's the time, let's have a little breakfast. And I saw hundreds of people walking towards the masjid. I said, gee, what happened? I realized it was Friday. People were leaving right at that time when they should have left. So you go, you sit. And please keep in mind, there's a recording. Somebody is writing your name, so every entrance on this masjid, there were angels writing your names, whatever time you came. You read, make it to the masjid, you read Surah Al-Kahf. You listen to the khutbah attentively. You don't look at somebody, you do not play with your iPhone. Remember, you play with the pebbles, the sawab, the Salatul Jummah is pretty much gone. And you do not bother people. You come in, you find the closest place which is clean, you sit down, you continue to make a dua, you have a choice to make some salat. You get done, you listen to the khutbah without talking, and you are done. Subhanallah. After getting it done, you get a choice. That choice is make a dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which will be given to you. Not very sure, make the first dua when the Imam comes to the pulpit. Make a second dua, Allah, give me this, when we'll about to start, inshallah, the salah. And the better times is the time of the last hour of the day, after Salatul Asr. My brothers and sisters, let me ask you a very simple question before I wrap it up. When you were born, if somebody would have said, this little child who is 8 or 9 pounds, he would eat these many tons of food, these many tankers full of water, this much juice, will make this much money, who would trust that? That's not possible, how would he get it? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives it to you. Look at an apple. Look at a banana. Allah gives you food how? The best packaged food you can imagine to get. If you look at the best packing, try to look at the fruits. The best packing you can imagine to have, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't throw on you. It's given in a packet. So my brothers and sisters, there's nothing which Allah can give you. Keep in mind, there are only one relationship in this world which exists. You and your Rabb. You and Allah. All the other relationships are by sight. But you have the choice to accept the relationship or let it go. You have the choice, accept the relationship or let it go. Today you have a choice. The moment you will die, the choice will be over. Remember, in an exam, you're sitting, you're doing it comfortably, no one comes. The time comes, paper is snatched from your hand. Whatever you do, you never get it back. This examination does not have a second exam. It is just one. You lose it, it's gone. Whatever you want, you'll never be able to come back. Subhanallah, Allah gave you a choice out of millions of people to come for Salatul Jummah. You couldn't have come here. You got a choice. Please make a second choice for yourself, my brothers and sisters. Today you have a choice, tomorrow you may not have a choice. Please make a choice between the fire, which is eternal, and a heaven, which is enjoyment. There's nothing between. You go to fire or you don't go to fire. You go to heaven or you don't go to heaven. There's no second choice, unfortunately. But fortunately, you have the choice, and take a choice which is best for you. Let's make a very small dua. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. أقيموا الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة.